Welcome back everyone to the channel, the place where unforgettable talent meets honest reactions, real emotion, and the kind of moments that stay with you long after the lights go down. From the sharp eye of Simon Cowell, a man known around the world for spotting stars before they rise, to the raw courage of performers stepping onto the biggest stages of their lives, this channel exists to celebrate talent in its purest form. Simon Cowell has always believed that true talent doesn't need excuses, stories, or sympathy, it only needs one moment to be undeniable. And tonight, that belief feels more alive than ever as we relive one of the most intense and unforgettable nights in recent talent show history. Spain's Got Talent 2024 semifinal Week 4 was not just another episode. It was a pressure cooker of dreams, nerves, and ambition. Every act that walked onto that stage knew exactly what was at stake. This was no audition anymore. This was no second chance. This was the moment where talent had to turn into greatness. From the very first second, the atmosphere inside the theater was electric. The audience buzzed with anticipation, the judges sat focused and serious, and backstage, performers tried to control shaking hands and racing hearts. The show opened with a high-energy performance that immediately set the tone for the night. A dance crew burst onto the stage with precision, power, and confidence that felt almost unreal. Their movements were sharp, perfectly synchronized, and full of emotion. You could feel the hours of rehearsal in every step. The lighting exploded with color as the music built, and within seconds the audience was clapping along. This was the kind of performance that doesn't warm you up slowly, it grabs you and refuses to let go. By the time they hit their final pose, the crowd was already on its feet. The judges exchanged impressed looks, knowing the bar had just been set very high. Next came a young solo singer, visibly nervous as the music began. The opening notes were soft, almost fragile, but there was something honest in the voice that immediately drew everyone in. As the song progressed, that softness turned into strength. The vocals soared, controlled yet emotional, and by the chorus, the entire room felt silent in the best possible way. No distractions, no movement, just a voice carrying pure feeling. This was the kind of performance Simon Cowell has often praised in the past, where technique meets truth. When the final note faded, the pause before the applause said everything. The audience needed a second to breathe before erupting into cheers. Then came one of the most unexpected acts of the night, a comedy performance that balanced humor with intelligence. Comedy is always risky on a talent stage, especially in a semifinal, but this performer understood timing perfectly. Each joke landed, each pause was deliberate, and the connection with the audience felt effortless. Laughter filled the theater again and again, and even the judges couldn't hold back their smiles. It was a reminder that talent isn't always about singing louder or jumping higher, sometimes it's about understanding people. As the night continued, variety became the real star. An acrobatic duo took the stage next, their routine built around trust, balance, and breathtaking strength. Every lift looked dangerous, every transition flawless. You could hear gasps from the audience as they pushed the limits of what the human body can do. There was no room for mistakes here, and they knew it. When the final move froze in perfect silence, the explosion of applause felt almost inevitable. Moments like this are why shows like this exist. A young magician followed, bringing a completely different energy. Calm, confident, and precise, he controlled the stage with nothing more than his voice and his hands. Each illusion built on the last, growing more complex and more impossible. Judges leaned forward, trying to catch the secret, while the audience watched in disbelief. By the end, confusion turned into admiration. Magic on this level doesn't just fool the eyes, it creates wonder, and that wonder filled the room. One of the most emotional moments of the night came from a family group, combining music and storytelling in a way that felt deeply personal. Their harmonies were warm and genuine, blending together naturally. There was no sense of showing off, just a desire to share something meaningful. You could see members of the audience wiping away tears, and even the judges seemed visibly moved. Simon Cowell has often spoken about performances that make you feel something beyond applause, and this was exactly that kind of moment. As the semifinal continued, the pressure became more visible. A young dancer, performing alone on the massive stage, poured everything into every movement. The choreography told a story of struggle and determination. Each jump, each fall, each rise felt intentional. When the music ended, the dancer stood still, breathing heavily, eyes closed, as if releasing months of emotion in one final second. The applause was loud, but also respectful, recognizing the vulnerability just displayed. Then came a rock band, bringing raw energy back into the room. From the first guitar riff, the atmosphere shifted. This was loud, confident, and unapologetic. The lead singer commanded the stage like a veteran, engaging the crowd and feeding off their energy. It wasn't just a performance, it was an experience. The judges nodded along, clearly enjoying the moment, and the audience sang along by the final chorus. One of the boldest choices of the night came from a classical performer who decided to modernize a traditional piece. Mixing old and new is always risky, but when it works, it's unforgettable. The performance began traditionally, calm and controlled, before slowly transforming. Beats blended with classical technique, creating something fresh yet respectful. By the end, the audience wasn't just applauding, they were cheering. A spoken word artist followed, delivering a powerful piece about identity, dreams, and fear. The words cut deep, and the delivery was flawless. Every line felt intentional, every pause meaningful. The silence between sentences was just as powerful as the words themselves. This was a reminder that talent can be quiet and still shake a room. As the final performances approached, the tension became almost unbearable. A young instrumentalist took the stage, fingers moving with incredible speed and precision. The melody was complex yet beautiful, and the control on display was astonishing. Watching someone so young handle such difficulty with confidence felt inspiring. The judges praised not just the skill, but the discipline behind it. The last act of the night had the hardest job, closing the show after so many strong performances. It was a vocal performance that started simple, almost understated. But as the song built, so did the power. The singer's voice filled the theater, strong, emotional, and fearless. By the final note, the audience was standing, cheering at the top of their lungs. It felt like a perfect ending to a night defined by courage and excellence. As the judges reflected on the performances, their comments highlighted just how difficult the decisions would be. Every act had brought something unique. This wasn't about finding who was good anymore, it was about choosing who was unforgettable. Simon Cowell has always said that the best performances are the ones people talk about the next day, the next week, even years later. Spain's Got Talent 2024 semifinal week 4 delivered exactly that. Backstage, emotions ran high. Relief, joy, anxiety, and hope mixed together as performers waited for results. Some hugged their families, others sat quietly, replaying their performances in their minds. This is the unseen side of talent shows, the human side, where dreams feel fragile and powerful at the same time. When the results were finally announced, cheers and tears filled the stage. Some dreams moved one step closer to reality, while others came to an end, at least for now. But every performer walked away having done something brave. They stepped into the spotlight and gave everything they had. This semifinal wasn't just a competition, it was a celebration of diversity, creativity, and passion. From singers to dancers, comedians to magicians, every act reminded us why we love talent shows. They give ordinary people the chance to create extraordinary moments. As we look ahead to the finals, one thing is certain. The standard has been set incredibly high. Spain's Got Talent 2024 continues to prove that talent knows no boundaries, and that when preparation meets opportunity, magic happens. If Simon Cowell were watching this night, he would recognize exactly what he has always believed in, that somewhere on that stage, stars are being born, and all it takes is one unforgettable moment for the world to notice. As the energy from the first half of the semifinal still lingered in the air, the second part of Spain's Got Talent 2024 semifinal week 4 pushed emotions even further. This was the point in the night where nerves were completely exposed. The performers who had already gone on stage were now backstage, watching monitors, holding hands, whispering prayers, while the remaining acts knew their moment was getting closer with every passing second. The next performance opened with silence. The lights dimmed, and a single spotlight revealed a lone figure standing center stage. It was a contemporary dancer, barefoot, dressed simply, allowing the focus to remain entirely on movement. As the music slowly began, the dancer's body told a story without words. Every gesture felt intentional, every expression raw. The choreography wasn't about perfection, it was about truth. There were moments where the dancer seemed to fight against the music, and moments where they surrendered to it completely. By the end, the silence returned, but this time it was heavy with emotion. The applause that followed wasn't immediate, it was earned, rising slowly and then crashing like a wave. Following that intense moment, the mood shifted dramatically with a high-energy novelty act that brought smiles back to the audience's faces. This performer blended creativity with entertainment, using props in a way no one expected. It was playful, clever, and incredibly well-timed. Semi-finals are risky places for novelty acts, but this one understood the audience perfectly. Laughter and applause blended together, and the judges looked genuinely entertained. It was a reminder that confidence and originality can be just as powerful as technical skill. Then came one of the most talked about performances of the night, a teenage singer who had already gained attention earlier in the season. Walking onto the stage, the nerves were visible, but so was determination. The song choice was bold, emotionally demanding, and vocally challenging. From the first verse, the voice carried a maturity far beyond the performer's age. As the song built, so did the emotion. By the final chorus, the singer gave everything, holding nothing back. The audience rose to their feet before the song even ended. It was one of those moments where you could feel something special happening in real time. An illusionist duo followed, bringing mystery and suspense back into the room. Their performance was cinematic, carefully choreographed, and beautifully paced. Each illusion flowed seamlessly into the next, making it impossible to tell where one trick ended and another began. The judges watched closely, searching for answers, but the magic remained intact. When the final illusion left the entire theater stunned, the reaction was explosive. This was magic designed not just to impress, but to captivate. Next was a choir made up of voices from different generations, united by a shared love of music. As they stood together on stage, the image alone was powerful. When they began to sing, the harmonies filled the space with warmth and strength. Each voice mattered, yet none tried to overpower the others. The song choice was uplifting, carrying a message of unity and hope. You could see audience members swaying, smiling, fully immersed in the sound. It was one of those performances that made the entire room feel connected. The tension increased again with a dangerous stunt performance. From the moment the setup was revealed, you could sense the risk involved. The performer remained calm, focused, knowing there was no room for error. Every movement was precise, every second stretched with suspense. The audience held their breath, afraid to even blink. When the stunt was completed successfully, the release of energy was overwhelming. Cheers erupted, judges stood, and relief washed over the room. It was thrilling, terrifying, and unforgettable. One of the most surprising moments came from a young pianist who chose an original composition. Original music in a semifinal is always a gamble, but this piece felt deeply personal. The melody was gentle yet complex, evolving naturally as the performance continued. The pianist played with both skill and emotion, losing themselves completely in the music. By the end, it felt less like a competition performance and more like a private moment shared with thousands of people. As the night moved closer to its conclusion, fatigue mixed with adrenaline. A vocal duo took the stage, their voices blending in perfect harmony. There was a clear chemistry between them, built on trust and shared experience. The song choice allowed both voices to shine without competing. Their performance felt polished yet sincere, the kind of act that belongs on much bigger stages. The judges' reactions suggested they knew this too. Then came a performance that divided opinions, an experimental act that pushed boundaries. It wasn't designed to be safe or familiar. Instead, it challenged expectations, blending art, movement, and sound in an unconventional way. Some audience members looked confused, others fascinated. And that was the point. Not all talent is meant to be comfortable. Sometimes it's meant to make you think. Whether loved or questioned, this performance sparked conversation, which in itself is powerful. As the final acts of the night approached, the atmosphere became almost unbearable with anticipation. A powerful solo vocalist stepped onto the stage, visibly emotional. The song chosen was deeply personal, and every lyric felt lived in. The voice cracked at times, not from weakness, but from honesty. The audience responded instantly, offering support through applause and silence at the right moments. It was one of those performances where imperfections made it stronger. The last performance of Part 2 was a group dance act that brought everything full circle. Energy, precision, storytelling, and passion all collided on stage. Their choreography was complex, yet effortless. Each dancer knew their role, moving as one unit while still expressing individuality. The music hit hard, the lighting elevated every movement, and the performance felt like a finale in itself. When they struck their final pose, the theater erupted. As the judges began their feedback, it became clear just how impossible the decisions ahead would be. Praise was given generously, but so were honest critiques. At this level, even small details mattered. The judges spoke about growth, risk-taking, and authenticity. They reminded the performers that reaching this stage already placed them among the best. Backstage, emotions overflowed. Some performers hugged tightly, others sat quietly, staring at the floor, processing everything they had just experienced. For many, this night represented years of effort, sacrifice, and belief. Win or lose, nothing could take away what they had just accomplished. Spain's Got Talent 2024 semifinal week 4 continued to prove that talent is not one-dimensional. It sings, dances, jokes, risks, and dreams. It comes in many forms, from the loudest applause to the quietest tear. And as this unforgettable night moved closer to its final results, one truth became undeniable. This stage doesn't just create winners, it creates moments that last forever. And with the tension higher than ever, the story was far from over.